Picture this. You step outside on a winter morning, coffee in hand, feeling confident. One foot hits that invisible patch of ice on your driveway. And suddenly, you're doing an involuntary dance that ends with you flat on your back, staring at the sky, wondering what just happened. We've all been there, but here's the wild part. Despite centuries of people slipping, sliding, and face-planting on ice, scientists still can't fully agree on exactly why ice is so absurdly slippery. Ice is one of the slipperiest natural materials on Earth. It's more slippery than wet glass, more slippery than oil on metal, and definitely more slippery than that banana peel from every cartoon you've ever watched. But when you ask a scientist why, you might be surprised to learn that the answer isn't settled. There are competing theories, ongoing debates, and some genuine mystery still wrapped up in something as ordinary as frozen water. Today, we're going to dive into why ice is so slippery, explore the scientific theories that try to explain it, and discover why this seemingly simple question has stumped some of the smartest people in physics and chemistry. And if you're the kind of person who loves surprising science facts like this, make sure to check the description below where you can download an ebook packed with 50 DIY science experiments and mind-bending facts to explore on your own. So what do most people believe about slippery ice? If you've ever heard an explanation, it probably went something like this. Ice is slippery because the pressure from your weight melts the ice beneath your feet, creating a thin layer of water that acts like a lubricant. Sounds logical, right? Pressure melts ice, water is slippery, problem solved. Except there's a problem with that explanation, a pretty big one actually. The idea that pressure melts ice comes from basic thermodynamics. When you apply pressure to ice near its melting point, you can lower its melting temperature slightly and cause it to turn into liquid water. This is real science, and it does happen. Ice skaters have relied on this explanation for over a century. But here's where it gets interesting. The amount of pressure needed to actually melt ice is enormous. A figure skater weighing around 60 kilograms and balancing on a blade creates some pressure. Sure, but calculations show it's only enough to lower the melting point by about 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. That means pressure melting only works if the ice is already very close to 0 degrees. So what happens when you slip on ice that's -10 degrees? -20. People slip on ice in Siberia, where temperatures hit -40. At those temperatures, the pressure from your body weight isn't even close to enough to melt anything. Yet the ice is still incredibly slippery. So pressure melting can't be the whole story. Alright, so if pressure isn't the answer, what about friction? When you slide across ice, you generate heat through friction, and that heat could melt the surface, creating a layer of water. This makes intuitive sense. Rub your hands together fast enough, and they warm up. Slide across ice, and maybe you melt it just enough to make it slippery. This theory works better than pressure melting in some ways. Skiers and ice skaters moving at high speeds definitely generate frictional heat, and experiments have confirmed that yes, a thin layer of meltwater does form under a fast-moving skate blade or ski, so friction-generated melting is part of the puzzle. But once again, it's not the complete answer. Because here's the thing, ice is slippery even when you're standing still. You can place your hand gently on a block of ice, barely moving, generating almost no friction, and it still feels slick. You can touch ice with a piece of metal or plastic, and it slides easily without any significant friction or pressure. So something else has to be going on. This is where things get truly fascinating. Starting in the 1800s, scientists began to suspect that ice has a special property. Even when it's well below freezing, the surface of ice isn't quite solid. There's a thin molecular scale layer on the surface that behaves more like liquid water than solid ice. This is called the quasi-liquid layer, and it's one of the most important clues to understanding why ice is slippery. But what exactly is a quasi-liquid layer? Imagine zooming in on the surface of ice at the molecular level. Deep inside the ice, water molecules are locked into a rigid, crystalline structure. They're bonded to their neighbors in an organized lattice. But at the very surface, the molecules don't have neighbors above them. They're exposed to air. This makes them less stable, more disordered, and more mobile. They vibrate and move around more freely than the molecules locked inside the ice. The result is a layer that's not quite solid and not quite liquid, but somewhere in between. This quasi-liquid layer exists even at temperatures far below freezing. Scientists have measured it using advanced techniques like atomic force, microscopy, and spectroscopy. and they've found that it can be anywhere from a few nanometers to hundreds of nanometers thick, depending on the temperature. The warmer the ice, the thicker the layer. And here's the kicker. This layer acts like a lubricant. It reduces friction between the ice and whatever is touching it, whether that's your shoe, a skate blade, or your rear end after a bad fall. It's always there, which explains why ice is slippery even when you're not applying much pressure or moving fast. So problem solved, right? The quasi-liquid layer is the answer. Well, not so fast. While most scientists agree that the quasi-liquid layer plays a major role, there's still debate about the details. How thick is the layer under different conditions? How does it interact with pressure and friction? Does the layer behave the same way on all types of ice, or does it change depending on things like temperature, humidity, or impurities in the ice? Some researchers argue that the quasi-liquid layer alone isn't enough to explain ice's extreme slipperiness. They think that pressure and friction still contribute, especially in dynamic situations like skating or skiing. Others focus on the molecular structure of the layer itself, trying to understand exactly how disordered it is and how that disorder translates into low friction. There are even questions about whether the quasi-liquid layer is truly liquid-like, or if it has properties that are unique and different from both solid ice and liquid water. It's a strange in-between state of matter, and that makes it tricky to study and even trickier to fully understand. Here's what modern science suggests. Ice is slippery because of a combination of mechanisms, and which mechanism dominates depends on the conditions. At very cold temperatures, the quasi-liquid layer is the main reason ice is slippery. Near the melting point, pressure melting and friction-generated meltwater play bigger roles. On a skating rink, all three mechanisms might be working together at once. In other words, there's no single answer. Ice is slippery for different reasons in different situations, and that complexity is part of what makes this question so hard to answer definitively. It's a reminder that even simple, everyday phenomena can be surprisingly complicated when you look closely. Let's talk about a few things that might reset your assumptions about ice. First, not all ice is equally slippery. Ice at -5 degrees Celsius is much slipperiness than ice at -30 degrees because the quasi-liquid layer is thicker when it's warmer. So if you're walking on a glacier in Antarctica, where the ice is extremely cold, it's actually less slippery than the ice on your driveway in winter. Second, the type of surface touching the ice matters a lot. Metal slides more easily on ice than rubber, because rubber can deform slightly and interact more with the rough texture of the ice surface. That's why winter tires are made of softer rubber compounds that can grip better. And here's a weird one. Ice is more slippery when you slide parallel to the crystal structure of the ice than when you slide perpendicular to it. The molecular arrangement actually affects how slippery it feels, which is something most of us never think about when we're trying not to fall. You might be wondering, why does any of this matter? Why do scientists care so much about something as simple as slippery ice? The answer goes beyond ice itself. Understanding why ice is slippery helps us design better materials, improve safety in cold climates, and develop technologies that work in extreme conditions. It also connects to bigger questions in physics and materials science about how surfaces behave, how friction works at the molecular level, and how matter transitions between different states. But there's something deeper here too. The fact that scientists still debate the slipperiness of ice is a perfect example of how science actually works. Science isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions, testing ideas, and being willing to say, we don't fully understand something yet. Ice is something humans have interacted with for thousands of years, and we're still figuring it out. That's not a failure of science. That's science doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So the next time you slip on ice, take a moment to appreciate the mystery beneath your feet. You're not just dealing with frozen water. You're experiencing a complex interaction of pressure, friction, molecular disorder, and surface chemistry that scientists are still working to fully explain. Ice is slippery, not for one simple reason, but for several reasons that depend on temperature, speed, pressure, and the strange behavior of water molecules at the boundary between solid and liquid. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of all this. The world is full of everyday mysteries hiding in plain sight, waiting for curious minds to ask why. Ice reminds us that we don't have to travel to distant galaxies or dive into quantum mechanics to find the unknown. Sometimes it's right there on your driveway, making you fall on your butt and wonder.